Frank Alec, that's the one that Justin Trudeau's feminist government wants to negotiate with, someone who beats their wife. Kean Bexey for Rebel News, standing in Smithers, British Columbia, coming to you with some exclusive news that you're not going to find anywhere except for Rebel News. This is perhaps the most concerning story that I've uncovered in my time here up in the Smithers-Houston region, where the Coastal GasLink pipeline is being built. I've been covering stories regarding Indigenous issues, the blockades, and the pipeline itself. But today, I have a very concerning story to share with you about the deal that Justin Trudeau's feminist government brokered with the hereditary, albeit illegitimate, leadership of the Office of the Wet'suwet'en. Now, you might know Frank Woos. I spoke to him earlier this week, and I wanted to ask him a few questions about how he managed to become a chief of the Wet'suwet'en. He actually stole his title, the title of Chief Woos, from a woman named Darlene Glame. Now, this title was stolen about a year ago on March 2nd of 2019, and here's my questions that I posed to him. My name's Kean. I'm with Rebel News. We're doing a story on your negotiations with Carolyn Bennett.
Not interested.
Could you tell me who is paying you to do these negotiations? Could you tell me how you managed to steal a matriarchal name, Chief Woos? How'd you steal that name? It was a year ago today. How'd you steal it? Now, I thought this would be the most egregious thing that I found in my time up here in northern British Columbia, that Justin Trudeau's feminist government was negotiating with someone, Frank Alec, whose only claim to fame is that they stole their name, office, title, chieftainship from a woman, just because Darlene Glame didn't hold the right opinion. She supported the Coastal GasLink pipeline, and the 5 men at the Office of the Wet'suwet'en and Frank Alec couldn't have that, so they stripped her of her title and gave it to Frank Alec. Now, Frank Alec is considered Chief Woos here and is negotiating with Carolyn Bennett, but it gets much, much worse. I was doing research on Frank Alec, and I found in a newspaper from 1998 this story showing that Frank Jimmy Alec, beat his wife, was accused and convicted at a tribal circle. The elders were presiding as judges, and they convicted him and sentenced him. So it took quite some time to confirm that the person in this article that has these egregious claims against them was indeed the same Frank J. Alec who now considers themselves Chief Woos, someone who would be in a position to preside over these very same tribal circles that are sentencing people for beating their wives. Now, I know that Chief Woos operates a consulting company called Frank J. Alec Consulting. And after some time at the Service BC desk, I was able to pull the proprietor records of Frank J. Alec, and I wanted to confirm that Frank J. Alec's middle name was Jimmy, as this article says. And after some time at the BC Registry Services, I am able to confirm that Frank Jimmy Alec is the proprietor of the consulting business that Chief Woos operates. Now, I can't help but think about the wife. And granted, it might be ex-wife who Frank Alec beat. What does she think of Justin Trudeau's feminist government? A government who put Frank Alec up on a pedestal, where he could negotiate over the livelihoods of the people in his community, where he could negotiate over the specifics of a $6.6 billion pipeline. Now, Frank Alec, whose name is now Chief Woos, is in a hereditary position that it looks like Justin Trudeau's government has given the thumbs up to. They've said, it looks like in this agreement over rights and title, that they've said, yes, your hereditary structure of government is legitimate, and what you've done here is legitimate. The fact that Frank Alec, a wife beater, is now Chief Woos and in this very prominent leadership position, yep, that's all good. Ignore the elected officials, ignore the elected bound councillors, ignore Darlene Glame. Frank Alec, that's the one that Justin Trudeau's feminist government wants to negotiate with, someone who beats their wife. Justin Trudeau gives them the thumbs up. Now, perhaps I can understand why Justin Trudeau would negotiate with a wife beater, but what I don't understand is why the CBC hasn't uncovered this story. It didn't take me too much time. It was about a week's worth of work up here in northern BC. Rebel News is a small outlet, and we're certainly not based up here in Smithers, BC, but we wanted to get to the bottom of this very pressing story, a story that's affecting this entire country. There's blockades that are popping up across this country, strangling Canada. There's train derailments. The new one happened today in Prince George, British Columbia, and it's only a matter of time before people start dying because Justin Trudeau is granting legitimacy to the radicals running the show up here in Smithers and Houston and Burns Lake. There's serious rot in this country, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. I hope that me uncovering this story about a wife beater running the show in the negotiations with Justin Trudeau. I hope that this uncovers a little bit of this rot, and I hope that you're willing to help us out, continue our coverage just like this. I ask you to go to fakefirstnation.com. That's where all my coverage on the fake First Nation that is the office of the Wet'suwet'en has been. I uncovered their fake First Nation and their international funding from radicals like the Tides Foundation about a year ago today. If you go to fakefirstnation.com and pitch in a few bucks to help us with our coverage so that we can keep funding investigative journalism like this, journalism that the CBC certainly isn't doing, and journalism that Justin Trudeau certainly doesn't want you to hear about. Because if it got out that Justin Trudeau was negotiating with wife beaters, and it looks like it has now, well, it certainly isn't going to be a good day for him and his Indigenous Relations Minister, Carolyn Bennett. So we reached out to Frank Alec to confirm the facts as we know them. Unfortunately, when I gave him a phone call, his voicemail box was full. So I left him an email at the email address he has on his consulting website. I explained to him what my story was about, and I wanted him to either confirm or deny that he was indeed the Frank Jimmy Alec who beat his wife in 1998. I also wanted to ask him if Carolyn Bennett and the Trudeau government is aware of the violent criminal past that he has. Did Carolyn Bennett know that Frank Alec is a wife beater before she put him in such a powerful negotiating position? Now, unfortunately, we didn't get a response from Frank Alec, and I suppose that's understandable. Why would someone in such a powerful position now, someone who's under media scrutiny, someone who is able to speak directly to the Trudeau government and make serious decisions over the livelihoods of the people in his community, why would he admit to something that happened 22 years ago? Now, whether he admits it or not, there will always be this news story showing that Frank Jimmy Alec beat his wife in 1998. And there will always be this document, which we have archived already, showing that Frank J. Alec's middle name is indeed Jimmy. For Rebel News here in northern BC, I'm Cian Bexty. We were only able to bring you this exclusive news story because of viewer support from people like you. This document, my rental car, my hotel room, and the flights up here cost thousands of dollars altogether over the course of the week. Please go to fakefirstnation.com and help us out however you can so that we can keep bringing you coverage just like this.